Right now, if you get sick, you go to a doctor, you take a pill, maybe get a scan, and within a few days, you're fine. But for 99.9% of human history, that wasn't an option. No hospitals, no medicine, no understanding of what a virus even was. The answer is wilder than you expect. Before humans figure out anything on their own, they watch animals. Chimps today, when they're sick, will chew on bitter plants they normally avoid, specifically the pith of the Veronia plant, which scientists later discovered contains actual antibiotic and antiparasitic compounds. The chimps didn't know the chemistry, they just know it makes them feel better. And the researchers believe our earliest ancestors did exactly the same thing. They didn't invent the medicine, they copied it. From watching sick animals eat specific plants and then recover. That's where it started. Trial and error. Watch, copy, survive. One of the earliest forms of medicine wasn't a plant. It was dirt, geophagy, the deliberate eating of earth and clay. And it wasn't random. Specific types of clay can absorb toxins in the gut, neutralize bacteria, and settle an upset stomach. Pregnant women in many ancient cultures ate clay to deal with nausea. Some communities in Africa and South America still do it today. Your ancient ancestor didn't know what bacteria was, but they figured out that eating a specific kind of mud from a specific riverbank made the stomach pain go away, and they passed that knowledge down, generation after generation, for tens of thousands of years, without writing a single word. Over time, humans built up enormous knowledge of which plants did what. Willow bark, chewed for pain relief. It contains salicin, the natural precursor to aspirin. Humans were essentially taking aspirin thousands of years before Bayer existed. Birch polypure fungus, found on the 5,000-year-old mummy Otzi the Iceman, strung on a leather cord around his tools. Scientists discovered it has strong antibiotic and anti-inflammatory properties. Otzi also had wimpworm parasites in his gut. The fungus treat exactly that. He wasn't carrying it by accident. He knew what he did. Poppy, used across the ancient world as a painkiller. The same plant we still extract morphine and codeine from today. Ancient humans discovered one of the most powerful painkillers in nature, thousands of years before anyone understood why it worked. All of this knowledge was passed down entirely by word of mouth. No textbooks, no medical school, just memory. Otzi the Iceman had 61 tattoos, but they weren't decorative. They were lines and dots, placed very specifically on his lower back, his knees, his ankle, and his wrist. All areas where he had severe joint pains and arthritis. And here's the crazy part. 80% of his tattoos line up almost perfectly with the classical acupuncture points, used to treat exactly those conditions. And this was 5,000 years ago, 2,000 years before acupuncture was supposedly invented in China. Researchers believe his community had developed their own version of acupuncture through centuries of trial and error. They tattooed specific points on the body to treat chronic pain, not for decorative, for survival. But not everything was rational. When a member of the tribe fell seriously ill and herbs didn't work, they turned to the shaman, the medicine man, the spiritual healer, someone who could supposedly communicate with the spirit world, because ancient humans didn't understand germs or viruses. To them, sickness was caused by evil spirits entering the body, or by the anger of dead ancestors, or by breaking a secret rule. The shaman will enter a trance, sometimes using psychoactive plants like ayahuasca or psilocybin mushrooms. They will chant, dance, perform ritual over the sick person, and sometimes the patient actually got better, not because of magic, but because of the placebo effect. The genuine belief that the ritual would work sometimes triggered the body's own healing mechanism. Studies today show that placebos can reduce pain, lower blood pressure, and even boost the immune system response to infections. The shaman didn't know any of this, but the results were real. And then there's trepanation, ancient brain surgery, performed with stone tools. No anesthesia, no antibiotics. Just someone with a sharp rock cutting a hole directly into your skull. This wasn't rare. Archaeologists have found trepanned skulls on every inhabited continent. The oldest confirmed case is over 8,000 years old. And here's what makes it truly insane. They survived. A 2018 study analyzed 800 trepan skulls from Peru and found that the survival rate went from 40% in the earliest attempts to over 80% during Inca Empire. 80% with stone tools. To put that in perspective, during the American Civil War 400 years later, with metal instrument and formal medical training, had a survival rate of only 44 to 54%. Ancient Peruvian surgeons with rocks outperformed trained Civil War doctors. They did it to treat head injuries, remove bone fragments pressing on the brain, and yes, to release evil spirits. But regardless of the reason, the skill was extraordinary. So when you think about ancient humans getting sick, don't picture helpless cavemen laying down waiting to die. Picture people washing animals to learn which plants heal. People eating specific clays to settle their stomachs. People chewing willow bark for pain, carrying antibiotic fungus in their pockets, tattooing acupuncture points onto their own skin, and performing brain surgery with 80% survival rate. They didn't have science. They didn't have any of the tools we take for granted today. But they had observation. They had memory. And they had thousands of years of trial and error, passed down mouth to mouth, generation to generation. Modern medicine didn't appear out of nowhere. It was built on the backs of people who figured out one painful lesson at a time, how to keep each other alive. And honestly, some of what they discovered we are still using today.